Welcome to the second hour of the Elias Macko Show and what has become a very consequential day in Quebec politics. Now, reports all over the place that it's done, that Pablo Rodriguez will resign today from his role as leader of the Liberal Party of Quebec. Now, all week long, we had set aside time on every show to speak to all of the major political parties in Quebec. Yesterday, the Liberals bailed on their interview just before that was supposed to happen. Today was the Conservative Party of Quebec's day. It was already lined up. And Eric Duhaime is in our studios for this one. Monsieur Duhaime, welcome back to CJD.
Always a pleasure, Elias.
They say Christmas in July. Well, this is Christmas 7 days early, 8 days early for you.
Well, I don't think anyone is winning anything out of what's going on right now. The political class is affected, obviously, because of all those allegations. Even me. Do you think I could call someone today to ask him to fundraise the party? No, but it's hurting everyone.
It's a stink on all politicians.
Absolutely, and it feeds cynicism in Quebec big time. So I think everybody's losing out of it, but I think it's also an opportunity, especially for Anglo-Quebecers to say enough is enough. They took us for granted for way too long, and they don't deserve us anymore. And we should look and shop elsewhere.
So this is very interesting because I've had some listeners, they call, like when we do a call-in segment, they'll mention you. Like I don't bring it up. They'll be like, you know what, I'm going to vote for the Conservatives. And then there's other times where I'll mention and people they don't even think you're an option. Like you're perceived as like, well, I don't know, maybe it's you're Francophone and he's just going to be like all the other leaders and they're not thinking about Anglos. Only the Liberals think about Anglos. So what do you think you need to do to counter maybe some impressions that people may have of you and your party?
Well, obviously, when you're in politics, you need to talk to people. You need to be on the ground. You need a team. Obviously, it's not a one-man show. So we're going to start in January, so next month, to announce some candidates who are going to run again or who are going to be new candidates for us, especially here in Montreal. And I think it's important to have a ground game, and that's what we need to do. It was our first election last time. You have to understand that we started from almost scratch, and this time around we have a base, and we can build from there.
Okay, and for those who don't know, Eric, Mr. Duhaime, he's got a background in radio. You spent a lot of time working in radio.
I did your job for a few years.
There you go. So you know what we're going through here. Now, with that in mind, Eric has agreed to take phone calls. So at 514-790-0800, maybe you're a disaffected Liberal, you're looking at the news this morning, and you have a genuine question about what the Conservative Party of Quebec, what their policy is on certain issues. And if you'd like to have some answers from Eric Duhaime, you can give me a call right now. So 514-790-0800. If you'd like to ask a question of Eric Duhaime, we will take those questions now. 514-790-0800. And I think maybe that'll be an opportunity for you to present yourself as well in some of your policies here. I want to talk a little bit more about the Liberal issue here. What do you think is wrong internally in the Liberal? Like, why do you think the scandal even happened? Like, what are your thoughts on?
Well, they change leaders and they don't change the people behind the scenes, and that's the big problem. The party has a huge problem, and people who stick with the Liberal Party. And I think it's this morning. It's I don't remember if it's I think it's Michel Auger in La Presse that talks about it. Or maybe it's Paul Journet, but anyway, they talk about the fact that the Liberals have a base among non-Francophones, basically.
Yeah.
And they take it for granted. And they're not meeting together to promote ideas, but their interests. For some of them, it's a job. For some of them, it's a contract. For some of them, it's visibility. But they're not there because they have something in common in terms of ideas to propose to Quebecers. Do you think currently, and that's a question I'm asking every single person that is listening today, do you think that the Liberals over the last few weeks and the next few months are going to defend your interests or their own? I'm just asking you, who's defending you today? Do you think your Liberal MNAs are defending you? Where were they when the physicians were freaking out and when the CAQ messed up? Were they fighting internally or were they defending your patients and physicians in Quebec? And I could go on and on and on and on. I think you deserve better in terms of representation. It's been for way too long. It's time to have people who represent you based on ideas, not on interests.
We're getting some phone calls here. I'm going to go to Michael in Repentigny. Hey, Michael, you're on CJAD with Elias Makos and Eric Duhaime's in studio. What do you want to ask Mr. Duhaime, Michael?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say that his response to the political situation is admirable and statesmanlike. So, good for you, Mr. Duhaime. The other thing is we are probably the most heavily taxed in Canada. What's your situation? What's your policy on taxation for Quebecers? And I know you had something to do with resale of things like cars and so on. It can get taxed every time somebody resells a used car.
Yeah. We are good question. Thank you very much, Michael. First off, we are the party that was proposing in the last election the biggest by far tax cuts. We want to reduce the size of the state, 20,000 bureaucrats less, and we want to leave that money in your wallet. So that's our first policy. The second thing is we want to abolish the carbon tax. As you know, we're the only ones in Canada currently that are still paying a carbon tax. It's 10, 12 cents per liter. As you know, we're paying much more than elsewhere. When you just cross in Ontario, you see a difference of at least 20 cents. It's not because gas companies don't like us. It's because we are much more taxed than anywhere else in the country. The third thing you're mentioning is true. We're a party that is proposing to stop double, triple, taxing 4, 5, 10 times for things that are used and resale. And it's not just cars, by the way. It's everything in flea market, anywhere. We don't think it's, when a product has already been taxed, it shouldn't be taxed twice or 3 times. So that's another difference that we have with other people. But generally speaking, we're a fiscal conservative party, and we want smaller government and less taxes. That's our brand.
The follow-up to that taxation question for me is, okay, so you're gonna reduce taxes in a way that hasn't been done and hasn't been promised by other parties. Don't you have to cut some social programs?
Absolutely.
And so do you know which ones?
Yes. Well, as I said, the Green Fund, because all the money of the carbon tax is going currently in the Green Fund, and actually the government used it now to pay
off the debt. Yeah.
They used it for reasons that were not supposed to. But anyway, we want to abolish that. We also want to eliminate gradually the subsidies to businesses. It is not the business of the state to decide winners and losers. The Nordvolt, Lyon Electric, Taiga, etc., all those fiascos that happened lately, we do not want the government to subsidize private corporations. And that's a few $1 billion a year. It's a huge amount of money. Quebec is the most generous with your money for big businesses to give them subsidies.
Why do you think Quebec has to be the most generous?
Because we're not welcoming on other aspects, and that's what needs to change. We need to have when you pay much more tax, do you think someone wants to invest when you know you're going to pay more tax at the end of the day? You need an incentive, and then we put subsidies on top, which make taxes even higher, and it's a vicious circle, and we're stuck in that in Quebec. That's what they call the Quebec model. We need to get out of it.
All right, we are continuing here with the leader of the Conservative Party of Quebec. Eric Duhaime is in studio, and of course on a very consequential day in Quebec politics. Multiple reports now that Pablo Rodriguez will resign as leader of the Liberal Party. It'll put the Liberal Party once again in flux, and maybe an opportunity for Eric Duhaime. Our phone lines are open because Mr. Duhaime, with a radio background, is very open to answering your questions on air. I'm going to go to Jack in RDP. Hi, Jack.
Hello.
Hi, what's your question for Eric Duhaime?
First of all, I'd like to say, Mr. Duhaime, it's a pleasure speaking with you. I've been impressed with you for a very long time, and you can pretty much depend on my vote.
Thank you.
However, I just need to get one thing clarified because
Let's go.
You've been speaking about this for a while, about Bill 96 and how you plan on modifying it, repealing it. I'm not entirely sure what you want to do with it because it is affecting the English community here in Montreal, mostly.
Jack?
Because I can't speak for the English community if there is one in Quebec City.
Thanks. Jack, so listen, here's let's get Eric's answer on this one. The 96.
Well, thank you, Jack. Your question is relevant. First off, it's not affecting just the English community. It's affecting the economy of Quebec because there's many companies, many investors that are boycotting Quebec or are leaving Quebec because of Bill 96 restrictions. It is a useless bill that needs to be repealed, And it was not done to, French is not better today than it was before Bill 96 got adopted. It was a bill that's main purpose was to score political points for the CAQ against the Parti Québécois to show they were more pro-French or anti-English than the Parti Québécois. And it was just to poke the English community, but it did not solve any problem. I'm a Francophone. I'm in favor of, the French in Quebec and everything as you want to call it. But it's not a way. It's not going to be done against the English community of Quebec. We have to go beyond that. We've been fighting for way too long. It's time to unite all Quebecers. We talked about it earlier. We're the most taxed citizens in America. Our healthcare system is a mess. We have huge problems. We have natural resources that need to be developed in our province. There's a lot of things we need to do, and it needs to stop. We need to stop the infighting on linguistic issues. And unfortunately, the CAQ and the Parti Québécois are not part of the solution. They're part of the problem, and the Liberals as well, because they're trying to feed the other extreme. And it's something that we need to put aside and say we're all Quebecers. That's it.
Okay, so I want to follow up on Jack's question here, because I think for a lot of our listeners, they like what they're hearing, but they don't know if they can believe you. And let me read a text message from a millennial in Dorval writes this. Ask Eric the following. If he is against Bill 96, how is he going to convince nationalists in the regions to vote for him due to their perceived threat on the French language, right? So how do you do that? How do you say I'm against Bill 96 but get Francophones to vote for you?
Because we need to make sure to understand that the coercion of the state is not a solution. We tried that way. The best way to promote French in Quebec is to be healthier, wealthier, and to make sure that, there's incentives to speak French. The restrictions, the laws is not a solution in the long run. And, the real problem with Quebec right now, if we're scared of the survival of French in North America, is our own birth rate. We're at 1.33. No matter what the laws are, if we don't have kids,
game over.
It's a matter of time. The writing's on the wall. I mean, we need to talk about family issues. We need to say, look, Quebec needs to be open to families as well. It's not by having housing at $1 million per house that people are going to be able to buy a house and have kids. The youth in Quebec does not have access to housing right now. And those are the kind of policies we need to change. It's not by linguistic laws and fighting with the English community that we're going anywhere.
Is there something about your party's philosophy that allows you to be against Bill 96 in a way that, let's say, the Liberal Party could never be against it? Like,
no.
If the Liberal Party said, well, we're going to get rid of Bill 96, the French media would destroy them. But it feels because your basis on getting rid of 96 is more on, like, freedom, liberty, like you want to give people more choice, that you can get away with it.
It's in our genes as conservatives. Yeah. We've been fighting for individual freedom, for civic rights forever. It's that's the foundation of what a conservative is all about. And the other thing is that the Liberals, it's not just their position, it's the fact that they flip-flopped. They betrayed you on that too, and it has nothing to do with Pablo. It was way before he was there. It's the current caucus. And look what they did. They were in favor of Bill 96, and they wanted it to be even worse. They thought it was not enough.
Adam's on the line, and he may make this language debate harder for you. Adam, you've got a question for Eric Duhaime. What's your question?
What's your position on the OQLFs?
Ooh.
I like what you're saying, but it's like you're like going with Bill 96. There's a lot of businesses that are not coming here because of all of these.
That's exactly what I said.
Signage laws.
Look, I had that debate actually, and I'm going to take Ilias as a witness. The day that I don't know if you remember, but there was those bus signs, the "Go Abs Go."
Yes, of course.
During the playoffs, and the OQLF came out against it. And I was on this show. I called CGAD to say I want to be on air and be with the English community on that one. This is completely stupid. And I think we have way too much bureaucrats at the OQLF, honestly. If you're there to say that we can't write "Go Abs Go" anymore, it's because there's way too many employees in that. And again, there's two philosophy. How do we, I'm in favor of what they're saying when they say we need to promote French. I also do believe that, and I think a lot of Anglo-Quebecers agree as well. There's a reason why you're still in Quebec, because you like the diversity, you like the French accent of Quebec, and you want it to survive and you want it to flourish. That being said, we're not going to do it by bashing the English community. It's the approach that I hate.
Is this another example, like, because you're about small government, you can get away with saying we're going to cut the OQLF, whereas if the Liberals were to say the same thing, we're going to cut the OQLF, they would get destroyed in the French media, right?
Well, because they want to increase the size of the state in every other department. So for us, it's consistent because we want to cut everywhere.
Okay, let me go to our phone lines here. I got Stan. Hey, Stan, how you doing?
Thanks very much. Mr. Duhaime, I had the pleasure of meeting you a couple of years ago at a public event, and I even have your autograph.
Oh, good.
I think I hope it'll be worth some money someday. I think you're a straight shooter. I think you say it as it is. Most Anglophones like it, but the main problem is the Anglophone community is not where it's at the moment. You have to make substantial inroads in your own community, Francophone community, not only in the Quebec region, but in all regions, before the Anglos will be willing to split the vote, take a chance of splitting the vote between you and the Liberals, allowing the PQ to squeak through. I think it might take 2 or 3 elections, but you have to do that first. We have to see that you're really successful in your own Francophone community.
Is that an interesting take?
Thank you very much, Stan. It's a very good take, but I want to talk about, he talked about vote splitting, and I know that that's a problem for many Anglo-Quebecers. They think they're going to split their vote. I'm telling people in the west end of Montreal, even if you split by 10, the PQ's not going to win. Okay, so you can split them in 2. There's no worries. Darcy McGee's not going to become a Parti Québécois stronghold. Do not worry. It ain't going to happen. So there's no Parti Québécois votes almost in those constituencies, and even if we split in 2, the Parti Québécois is going to be still far way behind. So that argument at the national level, I understand. But in the Anglo-Montreal stronghold, it doesn't stand.
The PQ vote is so low, single digits at times.
Exactly. So it's not a factor in those constituencies.
Monsieur Duhaime, listen, I know it's supposed to be more of a year in review, but of course with the news of Pablo Rodriguez, it turned into what it was. I want to thank you so much, and speaking to our listeners, I appreciate it.
I'll have to come back then to do the New Year review.
Absolutely. That is Eric Duhaime. He's leader of the Conservative Party. Merry Christmas, happy holidays.
Merry Christmas to you all.
I'm Dylan Playfair.
And I'm Tyler Smith.
We're putting loneliness in the penalty box by talking to some of our favorite athletes about the importance of friendship.
This is Bromance.
Bromance is brought to you by Charm Diamond Centers, proudly Canadian-owned and operated. Charm has been part of your love stories and bromances for over 50 years. And you can find Bromance on the iHeartRadio network or wherever you get your podcasts.